What's going on, all you beautiful people out there? Today is the first episode of Edit With Me. It's basically a series where I show you how to edit. I've seen a lot of people, come out with these, but they don't ever commit. They just never finish it, and they just try to keep all their. Most editors are always trying to keep their effects and secrets and stuff to themselves, because it's their stuff, and I respect that, because I'm sure they don't want a lot of people editing like them, but me, I like to help people out. So each episode is going to be about something different, so that way it's not something really long. But I'm just going to show you basically how to edit an episode this time, but it's like a small ep, and then at the end of it I'm going to show you the end product, and you guys can just follow me through it. This episode is going to be short. Well, I don't know if it's going to be short, but it's basically just an interface tutorial, which pretty much is everything about After Effects and the tools and the layers and everything, the shortcuts, all that stuff. I'm going to teach you all that, so that way later on in the series, if you follow me through it, you will see that you'll follow along a lot easier, so that way you're not lost. So let's jump right into it. This side right here to the left where it says project, that's pretty much like your painter's canvas. It's where all your stuff is. No, it's not your painter's canvas. This is pretty much like your toolbox, where your painter box, I guess, where everything's going to be, all your layers, all your audio, all your clips, all your pictures, anything you use to edit is going to be in this little box to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and import everything. I have a folder especially for this series I have. It's called Another World. It's going to be the edit. That's what it's going to be called. So as you can see right here, we have just a bunch of clips and 2 audio clips. And personally, I like to organize it because I've had way too many cases. Actually, not way too many. I've had like 2 or 3 where I've left out a clip by accident because it just gets way too messy with all the compositions and all the layers and stuff. And it gets lost in there, and I leave out a clip. So now I like to organize it. So I'm gonna, this little icon right here, folder, I'm sure you guys know what that means. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a folder that says clips. Now I can put all my clips in there. Oops. Okay. Now I'm gonna create another folder just for the audio stuff. Okay, now we have a nice clean little project folder. Now, what I also like to do is on the clips folder, create a new one and put used clips. So that way, every time I use a clip, I can just drop it in there, and as I go by, it just keep getting smaller and smaller. So that way I don't fuck up again. Okay, so now let's create a composition. Now this is your painter's canvas. This is where everything is going to go. This is the the one little, I don't know what you'd call it, like I guess folder where all your clips and everything is gonna be, so you can finish, like compress it all, put it in a render, and boom, you got an edit. So we have a blank composition. It's just black or transparent, either way, same thing. And we have basically nothing on it. So let's go ahead and put a clip on there, so that way we can see what each tool does. Okay, we have a clip by React, I think. Yeah, no, Ideal. He's a guy that used to be in Torque, and he had a sick clip, so decided to use it. Alright. Let's go ahead, and this little thing that I'm using right here adjusts how much time you want to be able to see in your little time frame. If I wanted to see all 3 minutes, I can just expand it, or if I just wanted to see 30 seconds, I could just leave it like that. If I leave it like this, it's kind of hard to get like really accurate with time, so I like to make it really small, so that way I can see each second or every 2 seconds. Okay, so now we have a clip, and I'm just going to go along the top and show you what each tool does. This is just a select tool. It kind of moves things around the composition. You can click different layers and all that. Pretty basic. You can use these little boxes outside to scale your project or scale your clips. You can use that, but that looks stupid, so the best thing to do is grab the corner of it and hold shift, so that way it keeps the aspect ratio, and you can scale it up or small, You don't ever want to not do that because it can get distorted and stuff if you do all that. So you hold shift and do that. Okay. Now we have the hand tool. This is kind of the same thing, except if you're zoomed in and you're like masking this gun, instead of using the selection tool and moving the actual clip itself, you're just moving what you see. So it's like you're moving the camera. So like you can kind of go along this, and it's not actually moving the clip, it's moving like what you're looking at, you know, because if you use this, you're messing that entire thing up, you're moving it. Alright, next we got the magnifying tool. This is pretty self-explanatory. On my settings, I don't know if it's default, I have the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, because it's faster and a lot less time consuming, because you don't have to go up here, click, do something, go up there, click again, zoom out, all that stuff. We have the rotation tool. I don't use this up here, but that's because there's a shortcut to it, which would be R. Oops. It's where you click the clip, hit R, and it shows the rotation. And you can get a number specific, you know, or if you're someone who likes to use the tools up here, you can just click the rotation tool, click it, and then just spin your mouse. But next we have camera. Don't use that, don't use that. Okay, the shape tool. You can use a shape to make an actual shape layer with a solid, but most people use it for masking. Masking is pretty much just is showing what you want to see out of a clip. So say for some odd reason you only wanted to show half the clip, like this, you would use a mask tool, make a square, or a mask tool, make a square over half the clip, and that's all you see throughout the entire clip. Now you can keyframe this to do other things, and I'll tell you about that later, but I'm just going over the tools now. We have a pen tool, which is kind of the same thing, except like if I wanted to shitty mask this gun, you can pretty much make your own mask by default. This is gonna look terrible, but you get the idea, you know. So if you wanted to make a certain shape or to mask something in particular, you can do that. The text tool, you all know what that does. When you open the text tool, it's gonna open up boxes. So the pen or the paintbrush tool, I don't really use that. Clone stamp, don't use it. Eraser, don't use it. That's pretty much it. Okay. Now let's go into layers. For layers, we have two important ones you're gonna want to use. Not really two important ones, mainly like one important one, which is adjustment layer. Adjustment layer is where you're gonna add your effects, color correction, motion blur, your, you know, a bunch of other stuff, transitions. You're gonna add everything on here. Well, at least that's how I do it. Some people don't do that. If you find something that's comfortable for you, then you can do that way, but personally I do everything on adjustment layers. So that's pretty much what that is. The next is a solid. Solid is pretty much just like its own picture. I don't know how to explain it, but like if you wanted to make a star, an actual star, you can just make a solid layer and then mask it to a star, something like that. Okay, next is the camera, I guess. Let me see. Oops. We have a camera or light. Cameras, that's really it's really advanced, so I'm gonna stay out of that for now so I don't confuse you guys anymore. Okay, to the right we have the preview aisle or preview box. This is where, you know, it's pretty much to preview if you want to like see how your syncing is doing or how your effect is looking. This is where you would go, so we don't have to render it out, wait for that to be done, and then watch it. I need to sneeze. Oh jeez. Okay, we're good. You want to keep your frame rate the same frame rate as your composition, so that way it doesn't distort it. See, watch, if I ramp preview this right now, it's going to go normal. Well, right now it doesn't look normal, it looks slow. That's not what it's actually going to look like. Once this green bar finishes to the end of the clip or to whenever you want it to stop, it'll actually play it with audio and full time. And he gets a triple right here, I think. And then he gets a collat. And then whenever you want it to stop, you can just click anywhere on the screen or press any button. And yeah, so you know, it's going full time. You can hear the audio, it's not distorted or anything. Actually, let me import a song. No, that's not import a song. Alright, and then if you were to do it in 30 frames per second, it's like slow-mo. This isn't what it's actually going to look like. This is just a preview, but you want your preview to actually you want your preview to look like your what you actually want it to look like, you know, because that way you see what you're doing. And let's go put that back. Resolution, I have it on third, so that way I have pretty much like, it's like the law of demand kind of, it's like inversely related. If you have your resolution on third, that means you have less quality, but you preview more time. But if you have it on high quality, it's better quality, but you render like in only 10 seconds or something. For my computer, it only renders like 10 seconds when I have it on full resolution. Or if it's like, if I have a bunch of effects and color corrections, it'll only render like 5 seconds. So I always have it on third. It looks shittier, but it's not what it's actually gonna look like. I skip one frame, doesn't do anything. It's just, it's easier on your computer, you know, skips a single frame every other frame, so that way it doesn't have to preview everything. We have these things up here. First frame, that just take you back to the beginning. Last frame, that's going to take you to the end of the composition. And then we have frame by frame, so it's like last frame, first or next frame. If you want to get really detailed with your editing, you can use this. You can hit the play to kind of just play it through with no audio, so that way you can, it's slow-mo still, so I don't really use that. We have the mute audio and then the play style. So this little loop thing, let me just show you. So I have it on loop, so that way, hold on. All right, so that way when I preview it and it gets to the end, it'll start back over. There's weird options. There's there's Pong. Once it gets to the end, it'll like rewind and then go back. Yeah, I don't really use that. And then we have what is this one? Play once. It'll just preview it once, I think, and then it'll just stop. Yeah, I always have it on loop, so that way I can watch it a couple times. This button right here is the render button, the RAM preview, and make sure you have it on RAM preview option, so that way all these things matter. If you have it on this, you have to hold shift to do that. And from current time, you want to have that enabled, because if you like want to preview something that's at 12 seconds, for example, and you hit this and this isn't checked in, then it'll start from back here and try to render it. So that way you click this, and from wherever this little cursor is, this little red bar, it'll render from there, or a preview from there. Okay, now below this we have the effects and presets. You know, that's where all your effects are, your plugins, or if you have presets, that's where that's gonna be. And what else? Am I missing anything? Oh, shortcuts. Okay, there's some pretty basic shortcuts. There's Control Shift D, that splits a layer, and it just makes things easier. So that way, if you like want to split it after he kills this guy, you don't have to measure this and like get really, you know, close to it, so you can see exactly where it stops. But if you do that, some people do, you can actually hold shift and it'll lock it. It'll snap it right to where your cursor is. Watch, see that little snap? It'll do that. But Control Shift D, faster, easier way. And Control D? Yeah, Control D is duplicate. If you want to do something with that, that's how to copy a layer. You know, Control Z, undo. Control X is to cut. Control V is to paste. You know, basic computer shit. And for audio waveform, you're gonna want to use that so you can see where a lot of people who like, you know, editors that sync really good, they use waveforms, that way they can see where. Let me put a song in really quick, so that way they can see where like the drop is. So like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you to show the audio waveform is you double tap L and it brings up this little mess we have here. And you know, it looks complicated, but it's pretty much, it just shows you the loud and quiet parts, the bass and the treble of clips. And you can see where like there's a drop right here, and it's like gets really thick and then it gets small and then thick, and yeah. So you're gonna use that for syncing. Syncing is probably gonna be my next episode, so that way, because that's a really important one. It's always what people want to know, so that way your edits don't look like shit. And did I go over everything? I think I did. If I left anything out, I'll be sure to cover it. Oh, okay, yeah, right here. What about down here? Okay, say you're zoomed in and you're doing something with this. I don't know. So you're zoomed in to do something, and you want it to like go back, and you can't seem to get it perfectly without looking. You know, actually, let's move it like this. If you were like up here, trying to read what that says, and you're trying to do something and you're trying to get it back so that way it's like perfectly in the center of your screen, you would click this little percent sign, whatever it is you have it at, and click fit up to 100%, and it makes it perfectly in the center and zoomed out. So let's do that again. Fit to 100%. See, perfect. We have this little thing that shows you what time you are in the the composition. And let's see. This is pretty much what it's gonna render as when you're stop moving. So like, it's really pixelated right now. That's because it's not using a lot of RAM, so that way I can move through it faster without it being choppy. But once I let go, it'll render like that. Some people who have really bad computers are just gonna have to have it on quarter, so that way it's not like making everything slow. And once I let go, it's still kind of shitty, but it's better. Okay, and I think that's yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if this gets to, I'll keep it small. If this gets to 10 likes, I will do the next episode. Next episode is going to be syncing. I know a lot of you guys want to do that. I've seen so many people who were just curious about it, and so yeah, I'll do that for the next episode. I'll show you 2 different ways of syncing, the 2 different ways I do it, and syncing trick shots, syncing clips or sniping clips, and yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed. Drop that like button, and see you guys next time.